So I mean, this is a very, very interesting conversation, and I'm really happy that we're having it. But where do you see us having the conversation? Because it's a conversation. Like if Arkansas is ranked 36, I don't know where Georgia is, but if Arkansas is ranked 36 and we see the technology and the adoption of AI in China with the 6 year olds, right? So, what does the conversation need to include in order to ensure that, I guess, first and foremost, our community, the US, that we understand that, again, AI is here. It is not, it's the new frontier, right? It's not going away, you know. And we're learning also and teaching. I know I am, and I know you've mentioned it as well, is we're teaching people how to use AI, you know, um, uh, effectively, and also the security aspects of AI. I know that that's very, very big, but what is the conversation that, you can have, that we need to have as consultants, right, with our educators, because that's what we're kind of talking about today, is where we are and where other countries are. And we just talked about China. We didn't talk about Japan, and we didn't talk about other countries, because when we think about education, oftentimes we look at China as one of the leaders. But what is the conversation that needs to be had?
I think we got to look at what President Trump has done with OpenAI. They've made a major investment saying that I think it was like 500 million or almost $1 billion into United States being an AI leader. Let's take a page from that book. Okay, then what's going to be the next step down? Then we're going to have to look at what the United States Department of Education is doing. Then we'll take another step down, kind of like what this this page is. Then we're going to go to the Department of Educations of each state. Then from the Department of Educations of each states, where I then approach it as is then I go into the arts program, the humanities. This is where artists such as myself can go into schools, go into East programs, which here in Arkansas we have 249 East programs, and then go into STEM and STEAM programs and into high schools and junior highs and talk to the superintendents. Get all the teachers in the room. They have these conferences where they talk with teachers. And people like us go into them and ask them, hey, so let's talk about AI in the classroom. How are you using it? What are some of the ways that you're using it? And then present some of the ways that they can use it, such like we saw in this video. If there's a math teacher over there, we're here. Let's look at how you can integrate AI into your math program. If there's a science teacher, hey, let's look at how we can integrate that into your science program. Hey, let's say that you're a PE teacher. Well, how can we integrate AI into that? AI can then show some stats about how fast a student is running or different exercises that a student can do that would help them increase their muscle capacity. So I believe that that is where we go into schools and education talking about AI because we don't want teachers and educators feeling like, oh, when we start to integrate AI, it's going to take my job and I'm going to be at the house and some computer is going to be teaching my student.
Right. So basically, you're thinking that it needs to start at high government, right? And then trickle down the
I
policies and the regulations.
I
It
say
needs
that.
to start there.
I say that. However, I am currently working with a very, very, very small school here in Arkansas. A
Mhm.
school so small, Sparkman, a school so small that you have not only junior high but high school students in one classroom. And
Really
my thinking on this is, and it's a really great school. The high school students, when they do are finished with their work, they then turn around and help the junior high students that then can turn around and help the middle school students. So I love what they're doing there.
interesting.
But what I thought with working with them is that if we can integrate AI with a small school, what a great case study that'll be. Because then we can show how using AI with a small school has increased their test scores. And
Hmm.
now we can take that small one and then go to a middle school, a bigger school. Then we can take that same one and go to a D1 school or a bigger. You see what I'm saying? So I
Hmm.
want to look at what it is at the top of the pyramid, but I also want
Hmm.
to take that top pyramid and flip it over so
Mm-hmm.
that now we're focusing on the smallest one. Because, as
Right.
JFK once said, a rising tide lifts all ships.
I love it. I love it. But you know what? Just watching that video because I had not seen that video. So thank you so much for sharing it with with our community. Seeing that video, I, we're all of that is moving too slow. You know me, I'm the executor. So all of that is moving too slow. So I'm really excited about your book. And you're saying that your book is going to be out possibly this month. This is
Yes,
November, like
yes.
in November. Okay. So that's super exciting. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But I know that conversation needs to be had and it needs to be had now, right?
Yes,
And not only with I guess the politicians that and the Department of Education and then the I guess I don't know the food chain, but it also needs to be had with parents,
yes,
right? Because
yes,
of course once we get the parents to thinking, and once we show, and you guys, I want you guys to share this video with others, right? Because it's important that parents see where that gap is. There is a gap because most of my small businesses that I talk to, they're using Chat GPT to compose emails, to help them with some social media posts. They're using it that way. But really, guys, AI is the use is the uses of AI. I don't know if that's the uses of AI is just tremendous, right? It's
yes.
whatever you could think, right? It's now achievable. It's now achievable. I actually had a talk the other day with some small business owners, and I'm just challenging them to take one, aspect of their business and integrate AI, because we have to understand that it's not about working hard anymore, regardless of whether we're in the classroom or we're in the hospitals, or even if we're in the business arena. It's more about us being effective. And it's about, again, like we need to get there. So parents need to be integrating AI into their teaching of these small children. So if China is doing it at 6, we need to be doing it when they can say, Mama, right? They need to understand what a GPT is. They need to understand what AI is at an early age, so
And
that
like I
what
said, I don't expect that a 10-year-old
Mhm.
is working on perplexity. I don't. That's
Maybe
a
not in the
AI.
US, but they
Right,
they probably should be, especially watching that video, because that technology that we saw, again, I'm going back to the video because I had
right.
never seen it before, so I'm blown away. But that technology that we saw, and I don't know because I'm not in the classroom, I've not seen that in our classrooms.
No, no. I have not seen this in any of the classrooms. No. As much as I've seen in classrooms is they're using Chromebooks. Okay. They're using Chromebooks. They're going using Schoology. That okay. But an A something AI inside of that? No, no, no. They're still using pens and paper, so to speak, and clicking on things. The idea of critically thinking, that's not there yet. That's why I think that what I do as far as teaching these workshops on about storytelling and movie making and making little short films is really, really good because it allows them to use tools but still be creative and to critically think how they want to put this together. So once they now know how to use a GPT such as um, Canva AI, then now, okay, when it's time to do their um, high school term paper
Hmm.
or for them to do their college acceptance video, it's going to be top notch. Just imagine now China at 6 years old and 10 years on that. This is what I'm talking about. I want these students using this at 10 years old, or maybe a little earlier, but at least by 10, so that
Hmm.
so within 5 years, 15, 3 more years, 17, 18, They're graduating high school. They're ready for college. They can go into the job market because the job market is totally going to change, right, with the incorporation of AI,
Mm-hmm.
and they're ready to go. I